No. So that's getting those already. Now we're going to make a new document. So go to File New, or you can go to Command N, up to you. This is going to be for print. It's going to be measured in inches, and it's going to be 8.5 by 11 horizontal. Now, if you say, but Liz, I really want to do a vertical layout, I'm never going to stop you, right? You don't have to do exactly what I tell you to do. What I'm going to do is give you the measurements to do a horizontal that'll get you in a close range of a good layout, right? But if you have a different idea, as long as you use a grid structure, we're in business, all right? So,
I'm just here.
okay, I'm going to go to 8.5 by 11. You don't need any bleed edge here, all right? I can name it at this point. So your name for this file is going to be your initials and ID and just the word layout. And I'm going to go ahead and create it. And I'm going to remind myself right from the beginning that even though I name it and tell it what to be, it doesn't live anywhere until I tell it to live somewhere. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to save it to my project folder. So you're going to have folder, 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 file. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and say save. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and say okay. And that's going to save this guy here. Now, I'm definitely going to be using my type, so I'm going to keep that in my view. I'm probably not going to need this at all, so I can close that up. I probably am not going to use color at all, so I'm going to close that up as well. And then I'm going to go into my next step, which is to view my rulers. Show rulers. So now I see rulers top and left-hand side, and that'll help me to get my, my ducks in a row, so to speak. So I also am going to make sure that guides are viewable. So if I go to view and I go to guides, you'll see that it says hide right now, which means they are viewable. If it says show guides, you would click on show guides at this point, but they're already there. So now I want to set guides. So the way I want to do this is I want to pull guides vertically and horizontally. So vertically, I'm going to pull a guide to 0.75 inches, 3.75 inches, 4 inches, 7 inches, 7.25 inches, and 10.25 inches. And all of these dimensions are on the sheet that I gave you as well. Okay, so I've created columns. So I have 3 columns, one for each of my images. And if I look at each of them individually, they should equal out to be 3 inches. Whoops. So I'm using my origin marker to check this. 3 inches and 3 inches. Everybody with me? Now if I want to set it back to the corner, I just double click on the little crosshair in the upper left-hand corner where the 2 rulers meet together, and that brings me back to the 0 marker over here. So I'm just kind of checking my work. Now I'm going to pull them horizontally, 0.75 inches here, 1.75, 2.25, so 1.75, 2.25, 5.25, 5.75, 725, 775, 725, and 775. Now, any of these guides are movable, so you can click on a guide. As long as it's not locked, you can move it. So it'll move and you can undo it. if you don't want them moving around while you're working, God bless you, you can come over here and you can say lock guides. This way you don't accidentally pick up those guides while you're working. Now I can't pick them up anymore. I have to unlock them to move them.
How do you lock them again?
So you go up to View, Guides, Lock and Unlock.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that gives me the overarching details there. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to name this Designs. So in this final layout document, I want you to have 2 layers. I want you to have 1 layer for your designs and I want you to have 1 layer for your type. All right? So I'm going to lock my type layer because I want to start in my designs layer right now. So I have my designs layer highlighted. I have my type layer locked. And now I'm going to go and prepare to bring these into my document. There are a lot of ways to bring stuff in, but there is one good, solid way to do it. All right? So we're going to come on in here, and we're going to go ahead and grab everything that we need to put it into that document. So in this case, it's super simple because there's only 1 layer, right? So I can do a Command A or a Select All with that unlocked, and I can go to Edit Copy, and I can go into my layout document, and I can go to Edit, Paste, and Object Group to make sure that everything stays locked together. And then I can line it up where I want it to go. So let's go to the next one. And do the same thing here. I'm going to lock and turn off my template. I'm going to unlock all of the other layers, and I'm going to use Select All or Command A to grab everything. Now notice when I do this, she's got a couple random points. Those we want to get rid of. That's easy. Just come over here and grab that, hit Delete, go to Select All. Your designs for this project, and generally when you work in Illustrator, should be contained on your artboard. If they're not, you want to ask the question why and fix that. All right? So once I grab all of this, it's blue and green, so it's a little tricky to see, but you've got multiple layers, and red. You've got multiple layers all coming together. Do not flatten this. It makes working on it later a pain in the patootie. We can group it all together once we get it into the new doc. So we lock the template, turn it off, select all, edit copy, go into my layout, edit paste, object group. It now will let me grab and move this whole thing as one object. All right?
What's the difference between grouping it on the other document
Sure.
and this one?
Well, if I group it here, watch what happens. Watch my layers.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
And we don't want that because we can't undo that.
It adds like a sub-layer or something.
No, it combined it all onto one layer.
Oh.
And you do not want to do that because you want to have your separate layers to work on.
Yeah.
Okay? Good question. All right, last one. I'm going to turn off and lock that layer. I've got all my other layers. I'm going to go to Command A to select all, or Object Select All, or Select All. Command C will copy it. Command V will paste it. Command G will group it. So if you want to do all key commands, that's a possibility too. Now I have all of these in here. Now, when I look at this as a group of designs, I also want to think about how it's going together. And so my gut feeling right now is that the right and left are probably going to be best served with the more weighted objects, and the flowy bubbles look better in the middle. That's my gut feeling. I could go beyond that and play around with how they sort of iterate themselves moving out from there. Okay? So once I've got those in there, I'm going to go ahead and save. I'm going to lock this up. I'm going to move to my type layer. I'm going to just do a quick overview of typography. I'm going to ask that I gave you the lynda.com exercises, and I ask that you do the first 5. I want you to continue on with the rest of those exercises to supplement what I'm going to show you today in class. So you should aim on finishing the lynda.com exercises the week after next. So not the 4th, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the 11th of October. That should be your goal to get through the rest of your Linda. So when you're working with type, some best practice suggestions. Number 1, use text boxes. Don't just insert points. So if I go to my type layer and I grab my type tool and I click and drag, I can make a text box from one edge to the other. And the headline on this should be design principles, not the person at your high school. That would be your pal. This would be your principal, L-E-S. Just a tidbit there. If you highlight this, I like to tear off stuff and pull it into my range here. The nice thing is now in this version, as you go through the different choices, you will see the examples of the typefaces. Now this is a blessing and a curse because we can see everything, which is great, but it can also either be super distracting or it can make us make really rash decisions very quickly. So I'm going to go here in Century Gothic, and one of the reasons I'm going to pick it is because it's a font that has a family of treatments, right? A font with a family of treatments is different than just saying in a text box, make it bold. It actually has a typeface that was designed to be bold. It has a text face that was designed to be italic, to be regular, to be bold italic. So it gives me a font family versus just using Illustrator to say bold, italic, etc. All right? So I'm going to choose this for now. And I'm going to increase my point size just by clicking down here. And for right now, I'm going to use a general rule of thumb that I want to keep this. Now you'll notice I put this from side to side.
It says Primples.
It says what?
It says
Primples. Principles. Is that correct? Principles. Yeah. See, now I screwed myself up. You know what it is? It's the typeface, I think. Well, let's check. Let's do. Ooh, Check spelling. Okay, I spelled it right. The typeface is ugly. I picked the wrong typeface. I can't even deal with it. So we're gonna switch. This could work if it were smaller. So we're gonna go with that. And we're gonna make it smaller. And actually it'll be a better choice anyway. So right now I have it lined up edge to edge. And if I pull up under window, type, paragraph, I'm gonna get the rest of the stuff that I need. A lot of times by default it's gonna show up like this. I don't like switching back and forth. It makes me annoyed. That's me. I'm old school. It didn't used to be that way. You do whatever works for you. But so here now I can decide, do I want it centered? Do I want it right aligned? How do I want this thing to act? And I'm going to say to myself, you know what? I really would like it to span 2 columns, and I'd like it to be centered within those 2 columns. And then I can shrink that down, and I'm going to actually let my letters sit right on that guideline. Now here's my favorite little key command trick, is if you use command colon, so hold down your command key and your colon key, it'll turn your guides on and off. So it lets me see what it's really going to look like. So command colon, all right? So that's helpful there.